And now we welcome in NOLA.com columnist and Fox 8 analyst Jeff Duncan. Jeff, obviously there will be a lot of motivation heading into this one. First primetime Monday night game, first road game, first divisional matchup, and of course the Saints are facing the former #1 overall pick. And let's start with Bryce Young. He struggled in his debut last week against the Atlanta Falcons, but the Saints spoke very highly of him this week. He's still a really talented player. How does this defense go about containing a playmaker like him?
Well, it's going to be difficult. I mean, he's not your typical rookie quarterback. This is a guy that played a lot of football at the highest level of college football at the University of Alabama. So he's not going to get rattled like a typical rookie. I think the Saints know this. They know he plays with poise. They've just got to try and contain him in the pocket. Don't get out of the rush lanes, and don't let him get outside to where he can scramble downfield. One of the problems the Saints have, Madeline, from time to time is they play so much man-to-man coverage that often their defensive backs have their backs to the quarterback. Yeah. So if he does get outside of containment, he can run a long way. So I think they'll mix up their coverage a little more in this game, play a little bit more zone to try and keep him when he does scramble to shorter gains.
Yeah, the defense is coming off of one of its best performances in recent memory. 3 takeaways, but I guess, Jeff, the question is, can they do that consistently? And we'll find that out in week 2.
Well, that's something Dennis Allen's harped on all training camp, right? All off season, trying to get their hands on more balls. That's something they didn't do a lot of, but not only did they get 3 interceptions in that opener, they had 11 pass breakups. It's a very positive sign. And I think every time they have a game like that, Madeline, they get more confident. You could kind of see it in the locker room this week. The players on the defensive backfield are really raring to go, I think, because they're feeling this momentum. And I think it carried over from last season. They had 4 interceptions in the last 3 games of last season, so it's a great way to start this year.
Yeah, kind of like in baseball, when hitting is contagious, maybe takeaways are contagious too for this defense. Well, look, no Peyton Turner. He was placed on IR with a toe injury. Is the rookie Isaiah Foskey ready to step into that role?
We're going to find out, right? I mean, this is what they drafted him for, though. They knew that this was a prospect that could rush the passer, that's done at a very high level as well at the University of Notre Dame. But he's going to be thrown into the wolves this week. The way the Saints play their defensive line rotation, they throw everyone out there. He's going to get a lot of snaps, and we're going to find out. He didn't have the greatest training camp. He was kind of quiet for a long time, but then right at the end of camp, it looked like the light bulb started to turn on for him. I know he's excited, but he's going to go against some very talented tackles in the Carolina Panthers. I expect him to get about 20, 25 snaps in this game.
And on the other side of the ball, second straight game without Alvin Kamara due to his 3-game suspension. Kendre Miller, the rookie, is listed as questionable for this game. So Jamal Williams was relied on a lot in week 1. He will be relied on a lot in week 2 as well. The run game has to and should improve in this one, right? They're not facing the #1 run defense from last year like the Titans were.
Well, and they do have a good front, though. Carolina has excellent linebackers, Shaq Thompson, Frankie Louvu, 2 of the better linebackers in the division. But they've got to keep them honest. They've got to try and run the ball the same way they did against the Titans. They weren't really effective getting any big gains, but they kept the Titans honest and helped set up that passing game. They're going to have to do a little more of it. And I also expect them to have a similar game plan the way they did against the Titans, where they manufacture some yards using Taysom Hill in the running game and also using Rashid Shaheed coming off the edge on those jet sweeps. They were very effective. I expect that to be part of the menu again this week.
And left tackle Trevor Penning struggled in week 1, especially in pass pro. Jeff, is it just a matter of time for him to kind of become the left tackle that the Saints envisioned him to be, just more reps?
Yeah, I think that's certainly he's going to improve with more reps, but I still think the jury's out. I mean, we don't know. He's struggled for a long time, and he struggled in camp against better edge rushers that we saw. Carl Granderson really had a field day against him, so did Joey Bosa and Von Miller out in Los Angeles. He's going to get another test this week. Brian Burns, one of the best pass rushers in the league. I expect them to move him around to try and get mismatches on Trevor Penning. But look, the Saints know this. They're going to give him some help. They're going to use tight ends. They're going to use running backs to help in pass protection. But it's something that he's eventually going to have to get down if he's going to maintain being a left tackle. If not, he may have to move inside the guard. People forget Andres Pete was a tackle at Stanford, ended up moving inside and being a very good guard. Stan Brock, for the old school Saints fans out there, he was a great tackle at Oregon, ended up playing guard most of his career. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Penning, but I do think the jury's out.
Yeah, this is basically his rookie season with how much he was injured last year as well. Well, let's talk special teams for a little bit. The Saints are favored by 3. That's a field goal. How critical will it be for Blake Grupe to be as consistent as he was last week? He had a really good debut.
Yeah, but now he's kicking outside, right? He's going to be under a little more pressure on the road. But this guy, if you talk to him, I mean, he barely has a pulse. And that's what you want in a kicker,
Yep.
right? You want a guy that's going to be very steady, and that's Blake Grupe. I don't think he could have had a better debut. I mean, kicked a long one. He was perfect on all of his attempts. And this game could come down to that. A lot of these games in Carolina are low scoring. They end up coming down to the fourth quarter, and you have to feel good about Grupe the way he played in that opener. I don't think this guy's going to let the bright lights or the primetime stage get to him.
And finally, Jeff, how important are these first divisional matchups to get off to a good start in division play?
Well, it's huge right now, right? Because we've got the Atlanta Falcons who are 2-0, Tampa Bay Bucks are 2-0. I mean, who would have thought that 2 weeks ago? So the Saints have to keep pace early on. And on the flip side, that Carolina does not want to go to 0-2. All of a sudden, they would be looking up the rest of the division 2 games down. So they're going to be a very desperate team. They're playing at home in Bryce Young's opener. This is a very tricky, dangerous game. The Saints have lost 2 games in a row at Carolina to probably worse Panthers teams than the one they're going to face Monday night. So I expect this to be a barn burner, another nail biter. Get ready, Saints fans. I think it's going down to the wire.